Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. The agenda, do we have any additions or deletions? Dustin's moving them. Vote. Carried. Okay, I'm going to go into the public hearing. In accordance with the Alberta Regulations 50/2020, the following public hearing will be live streamed this morning and available for the public to listen or watch. Bylaw 2021-21, Land Use Amendment for Agriculture IDP to Limited Country Residential IDP. Bylaw 2021-23, Land Use from Hamlet Commercial to Hamlet Residential. During each individual public hearing, I will call for opportunities for individuals to make submissions. Once the public hearing is closed, no further submissions will be accepted. We will start with 2021. Kayleen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First bylaw this morning is bylaw 2021-21, and it's submitted by Adrian Creel to reclassify a 16-hectare parcel or 39.54 acres from Agricultural IDP District 1 to Limited Country Residential IDP District. Property is located within the southwest of 7-12-5 West the 4th Meridian and Plan 691 LK Block K. If the land use amendment is approved, then the applicant's intent is to apply to the Municipal Planning Commission for subdivision approval to create a 22-lot country residential subdivision. The property is located along Range Road 60, approximately 1.4 kilometers south of the city of Medicine Hat. Proposed reclassification area will have no alternative option but direct and immediate access from Range Road 60. Proposed reclassification area contains an existing residence and yard site and is currently under wheel move irrigation. There are no oil or gas wells in proximity. The intent is that a paved internal service road would be constructed by the developer to provide access to each of the proposed lots. The developer intends to build green with an off-the-grid self-sustaining development consisting of private on-site water via cisterns and on-site sewage disposal by field and tanks. The site would also be equipped with solar and geothermal with a community all-season greenhouse and dugout for irrigation purposes. Are we able to pull up adjacent land uses? Thank you, Leslie Ann. So you'll see bylaw 2021, the arrow pointing to the 40-acre parcel that's there. And about a mile north and mile east, there's country residential that's dispersed amongst that area. Proposed parcel is located within the potential growth area of the Tri-Area Intermunicipal Development Plan, and the land use amendment application as proposed does not comply with the policy area intent of that plan. Under the county's policies, the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan states that municipalities are to identify their agricultural land and limit fragmentation and conversion to non-agricultural uses. Under the implementation section of the plan, section 5, efficient use of land, it states that the land use framework promotes approaches to reduce the amount of land taken up by permanent or long-term development by utilizing the minimum amount of land necessary. Section 2.6, potential growth area of the Tri-Area IDP, states that the county wishes to retain the rural nature of its ratepayers and believes that serviced residential development outside existing hamlet boundaries becomes costly and difficult to administer and maintain. County has a limited capacity to provide an urban level of water and sewer services to the IDP area, as well as its other hamlets. The city has made long-term servicing decisions, establishing an internal trunk servicing pattern that is intended to service future city development in accordance with its municipal development plan. IDP recognizes that it's in the interests of both the city and the county to retain large parcel sizes for agricultural purposes. Under section 2.6.2, potential growth area policy of the IDP, it states that continued agricultural and agricultural support uses within the potential growth area are preferred. Uses other than agricultural or agricultural support uses should not be allowed unless they are an existing use or the expansion of an existing use prior to the adoption of the IDP. Parcels located within the potential growth area of the IDP may be considered by the county for land use bylaw amendment and subdivision approval for limited country residential use. The cumulative area of subdivision shall not exceed 10% of the area of the original parcel to be subdivided as it existed prior to the adoption of the IDP. And in order to be eligible for further subdivision into limited country residential lots, an unsubdivided parcel must be greater than 40 acres in size. And subdivision of a parcel 40 acres or less is not permitted. And in addition, limited country residential shall not be permitted on irrigated parcels of land. Section 3.6 of the IDP outlays the dispute resolution and mediation procedures and imposes the dispute resolution process and stages for where, if there is a disagreement regarding matters outlined in the IDP, how they will be addressed and resolved. And that is attached for council's information. Section 3, Tri-Area IDP of the county's municipal development plan states that the county council acknowledges the need for growth and development of the urban communities within the municipality. Tri-Area IDP will be considered the primary policy document within the boundaries, and the MDP recognizes policy designations and policies and implementation steps that will govern this portion of the county. In addition, all applications for land use reclassification within the Tri-Area IDP shall be referred to the appropriate municipality for comment prior to approval. When we circulated the proposal, the City of Medicine Hat Planning and Development Services replied that the application is located within the potential growth area of the Tri-Area IDP. The application proposes an amendment to the land use bylaw to facilitate residential development that is not consistent with the policies set out in the IDP. Section 2.6 of the IDP states that the policy content and policies with regard to the requirements for limited country residential development within this area. City of Medicine Hat is opposed to the approval of this application. Town of Redcliffe replied, and I just received their comments this morning, and they responded that they reviewed the proposal and offered no comments. The letter was received from Adrian Creel in favor of the proposal, and a copy of the letter is attached to council's agenda. A letter of objection was received from Connie Kapler. A copy of the letter is attached to the agenda. A letter of objection was received from Anita Augustine, and again, a copy of the letter is attached to the agenda. And a letter of opposition was received from Cameron and Jennifer Barber, and a copy of the letter is attached to this report as well. And early this morning, Mr. Chairman, I did receive an amendment to that letter that also has signatories on it. And I'll just briefly go over who signed that letter. So the letter applied by Cam and Jennifer Barber is also signed by Diane Lundquist, Catherine Schreiber, Ron Schreiber, Barry Gooding, Charlotte Gooding, Dave Trotter, Darcy Ellen, Trent Behrman, Mark Lundquist, Carrie Lundquist, Connie Kapler, and Kurt Lundquist. And in addition, this morning, a letter of objection was received from Beth Slack. And because it's not published on the agenda, I will read that letter out for the public as well. We would like to submit the following written feedback as per invitation in the letter sent by Kayleen Simpson regarding the public hearing for land use bylaw meeting, reportion Southwest 7-12-5 West of 4 and Plan 691 LK Block K. It has long been our wish that this irrigated land corridor could be retained for as much agricultural use as possible. We have sought to uphold that ourselves in running a small raspberry, strawberry, U-pick, and vegetable farm, and realize some of the challenges of small-scale agricultural enterprise. Creels have been exemplary in attempting to try and use their land in raising sheep and to some extent crops. They've been wonderful neighbors over the years, thus it is difficult at this time that we cannot see this proposal as presented to convert the land to country residential in such a relatively dense fashion as supporting this agricultural vision. Cam and Jennifer Barber's letter has outlined many more particular concerns, especially point 7, which references the IDP 2020 plan, and it's signed by Larry and Beth Slack. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, my recommendation is refusal of bylaw 2021-21 as the proposal does not comply with section 2.6 potential growth area of the Tri-Area Intermunicipal Development Plan and section 3.6 of the county's municipal development plan.
Thank you, Kayleen. Does the council have any questions for the planner at this point? Not seeing any. Okay, are there any comments or submissions from the applicant? Which one is the applicant? Is the applicant present? No. Okay, are there any comments from anyone against the development? Again, I'll ask if there's anybody against this development. Not seeing anyone. Is there anybody online? Oh. Just come up to, pardon me? Okay, do you have anything else to add? Okay, can you come up to the front here and state your name? They'll turn the mic on for you there.
Thank you. My name is Cameron Barber. I'm directly adjacent to the proposed development. And in visiting the neighbors in the surrounding area, one item that I hadn't thought of was the access road on this proposed development meeting up with Township or Range Road 60. It would be a right angle corner on a very busy road. And the only point my neighbor Ron Schreiber and I wanted to make was that this is a potential traffic hazard as well because of the intersection of those two roads. So in addition to what Kayleen expressed in my letter, that's the only other point I had. So,
okay, thank you very much. Does council have any questions to ask? Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else for or against? I'm not seeing any. I will now call for final submissions from the applicant and from those who feel they have not had the opportunity to be fully participating in the public hearing. Do we have anybody online? No. Okay. The public hearing for bylaw 2021 is now concluded and no further submissions will be accepted. Okay, we will proceed on to bylaw 2021-23. Kayleen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2021-23 is supplied by Janet Kitchen to reclassify an existing Hamlet commercial parcel to Hamlet Residential District. Property is located within Northwest 3111-2 West the 4th, Plan 3130B, Block 5, Lots 5 through 10. Property is located at the intersection of Pacific Ave and 4th Street in the hamlet of Irvine. Council has previously presented with this request in February of 2021. In prior years, the applicant has carried out a commercial business consisting primarily of office space within the existing building. The applicant has expressed that a majority area of the building has been dedicated and utilized to residential purposes. The existing building is contained within one title on lots 8 through 10, which is towards the east parcel and 4th Street. While the remainder of the proposed reclassification area each has their own separate titles contained through lot 5 through 7. These titles contain accessory structures as well as an established garden. Landowners requesting for council's consideration to reclassify the property as the lots have been listed for sale for a number of months. The applicant has a purchaser for the property, however, have run into an obstacle with the sale due to the requirements for a down payment on commercial properties. The applicant has communicated to administration that an alternative option, if council desires, would be to rezone only the lots containing the business and residence, which would be lots 8 through 10. With the remaining titles, lots 5 through 7 to remain as commercial. However, administration's concern is that this option may further increase the potential for compatibility issues if a commercial business is to locate within a vacant property directly abutting a residential use. In terms of adjacent land use districts, The block that's adjacent to South Railway Avenue is continuous commercial on the north side of that rear alleyway. Highlighted in blue, there is some hamlet residential uses, and to the east under red, highway commercial uses. There's no subdivision intended subsequent to this application, and therefore, if the bylaw is approved by council, the reclassification to hamlet residential district would immediately take effect. Proposed reclassification areas within the boundaries of the urban area structure plan, and if the land use amendment is to be approved, that area structure plan would need to be brought forward for amendment. The South Saskatchewan Regional Plan directs municipalities to be responsible for the planning and development processes to ensure that land is available for developments such as residential, commercial, and industrial lands to accommodate population growth. Section 2.2 objectives of the Municipal Development Plan states to locate country residential, industrial, and commercial development where appropriate, to encourage industrial and commercial development to locate in the municipality, and to promote the continued existence of major hamlets as residential communities and local service centers. Under commercial development of the urban area structure plan, it states that urban central business district is located along South Railway Avenue. Unless there are dramatic changes to reduce ever evolving shopping trends, urban has more commercial property in its central business district than can be utilized. Urban area structure plan also identifies the following policies under commercial development. And mixed use buildings combining commercial uses on the main level and residential uses above will be allowed. Higher density residential uses will be allowed provided that the building fits with that of the existing buildings. And conversion of properties in this area to low density residential such as single family dwellings or duplexes will not be allowed. In the land use bylaw 2018-04 under Hamlet Commercial District, a mixed use building for residential and commercial office space is considered a class 2 discretionary use requiring approval of the Planning Commission. A letter of support was received from the landowners of the proposed parcel, Tom and Janet Kitchen, and a copy of their letter is attached to the report. And a letter of opposition was received from Louis Hashem and Margaret Harrigan, owners of the Urban Hotel, and a copy of their opposition is attached to the report. So my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, is refusal, as property does not comply with section 2.2 objectives of the county's municipal development plan and the commercial development intent of the urban area structure plan.
Thank you, Kayleen. Does council have any questions for the planner? Not seeing any. Are there any comments or submissions from the applicant at this point? Come forward and yeah, you can, that's already got the mic on there. So state your name for the
Rod Wilson, Royal LePage. The reason that I'm here is it's a very difficult piece of property to sell as it is. I know that you can realize that. I've had 2 offers there prior to it, which has been listed now for just as we speak today for a year. Out of that, both have failed and counted the deposit money. At least the house, if we can get that subdivided off, we can move forward and retain the other lots as commercial. But to move that property is really difficult. And it's been brought to my attention twice, and this is the 3rd time. I've extended this offer now 3 times, waiting to try and get this changed if we can to make it work. If not, well, we just have to wait it out, I guess, and see what happens. But to get this thing sold for me would have to be the house at least be changed out and be residential. That's all I got to say.
okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Council have any questions for Mr. Wilson? Thank you. Are there any comments for anyone for or against the development? Lou? She just sanitized you, Lou.
My name's Louis Hashem. I'm the owner of the hotel, and I oppose this personal land going to residential due to my hotel is adjacent to the parcel of land. And at one time, Janet Kitchen did have a commercial kitchen in there, and it was rated commercial, and I think it still should stay commercial due to the fact that Main Street Irvin is all commercial property on it, and to change to residential, I feel that it might affect my business with the noise and people living next to it as a residential would complain about our Biker Tuesday night, their parties in the back that we do. Because we use both sides of the west and the east side of our building for events and that. And I believe that they might start complaining about the noise and the parking around the hotel that would add to a stress to a residential building there. That's all I have to say, I think.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for Ernest?
Just, I'm looking at this map and just where is your hotel located? Like there's a number of buildings.
It's
here.
right on the east side.
Yeah.
On the west side, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So-
Her fence, the Rose property, her fence line is right there on our west side of our lot.
You own all 4 lots, correct? 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's good. I just wasn't sure where and I just wanted to
Oh,
know.
sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Lou. Is there anybody else for or against the development? Okay, I now call for any final submissions from the applicant or from those who feel they have not had the opportunity to fully participate in the public hearing. Do we have anybody online watching? No. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. The public hearing for bylaw 2021-23 is concluded and no further submissions will be accepted. I will close the public hearing. Okay, going to the minutes. Last one, everybody read them? Michelle, you're moving them? Anybody have any comments on it? Not seeing any. Vote. Carried. 6.1, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is bylaw 2021-21 land use amendment, for second and third reading. The bylaw is on page 75. Is there any questions?
Dustin?
I guess I'll move second so I can talk. I feel as though this isn't a good fit for this area. From recent conversation that we've had in this room, I kind of feel as though this is the sort of thing we're trying to start to limit, especially within the edge of the IDP. I don't think we should look at doing these big multi-parcel subdivisions without proper infrastructure being in place, and with the city not being willing to provide that infrastructure into the outlying areas. This would be a no for me.
Okay, is there any other? Robin?
Yeah, I agree with Dustin. Recently we've had inquiries on doing other multi-parcels within the IDP. That was not something that we were prepared to move forward with. And I think about some of the applications that we've even had where we have a larger parcel that has 2 properties or 2 houses on it. And we're unwilling to split that again, because it's within the IDP. I think that appropriate placement of something like this, if this was a little bit further out, then add a little bit more space, I might be potentially more on board with a concept like that, but I think location wise, it's just not something that I can get behind.
Any other comments? Ernest?
I think that the concept is something that is development that we need to look at going farther, you know, not requiring sewer and water and all that really expensive infrastructure. But again, the location, this is not the spot for it. That I would probably support it if it was just somewhere else.
Michelle?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Ernest. I think it's a great idea. I just don't think that it's just way too close to town. And it's not a big enough parcel, and I just, can't agree with it.
Okay, any other comments? So I have a motion on the floor for second. Is there any other comments on it? Okay, I'm gonna ask for the vote for second reading. That motion is lost. 6.2, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2021-23, land use amendment from Hamlet Commercial to Hamlet Residential. Before you, it is on page 77.
Thank you, Terlin. Somebody to move that so we can discuss. Shane, moving second. You have the floor. Do you have any comment?
I just agree with our staff that it doesn't fit in putting residential right in the commercial zone. Just, even if we I feel if we sub out the house and leave the lots next door still commercial, you're still in the same position as we are right now with the whole thing.
Yeah, Robin.
I understand where Ron is coming, right? Is coming from Rod, sorry, Rod, where Rod is coming from in the sense of trying to find a way to make it work. I said, but unfortunately, I think that it's kind of like the last application where the location and the precedent is dangerous. And I think that you can respect that from our perspective as well. Although I will be voting against this, I do understand where you're coming from, and I think that we need to seriously look at how we can potentially stimulate some commercial opportunities in that urban area. We're talking about whether the potential of campgrounds or things like that out there. Otherwise, we're kind of sterilizing some of those real estate investments that are out there, and we want to try to avoid that where possible. But to go and change one parcel to residential, we're going to end up having everybody else that's out there trying to sell commercial to residential. So with respect, that's why I'll be voting against it, but I hear where you're coming from.
Any other comments? Not seeing any. I have a motion on the floor for second reading. Vote. That motion is lost. Okay, 6.3, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2021-25, soil erosion in road allowances bylaw. Recommendation is that council provide first reading for bylaw 2021-25. Administration is proposing that council consider adopting a soil erosion in road allowance bylaw to regulate and enforce the removal of excess soil in the county's road allowances that come off of private land. The excess soil can impede or compromise the drainage capabilities within the county ditch. I believe this was discussed in Ag Service Board as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Richard's making that motion.
Yes, correct. I'll make the motion and no discussion.
It's first reading. Yep. Okay. Vote. Carried. We'll take a 2-minute break and then we'll Should have done that, let the galley clean out, but we'll just take a 2-minute break. Yeah. The meeting back to order.
Oh, okay.
Seven, Tara Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the financial reports. We have August 21 comparative statement of financial position, August 21 of comparative statement of revenues and expenditures, August 21 of accounts payable listing. Recommendation is council receive the August 2021 financial reports as information.
Thank you. Ralph's moving them. You have the floor. Do you have any questions on it? Anybody else have any questions? Not seeing any. Vote. Carried. 8, Tara Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the team's reports to council. Is there any questions?
Shane's moving them. Shane, you have the floor. Do you have any questions?
No, I'll bring it up next time.
Okay,
You ready?
Richard.
On the report on the 7 persons project for the 7 persons water tank reservoir, it said an inspection was done, but then there was no further comment. Everything is okay, like it's the reservoir itself, or is it something that council should be looking at for what's sort of replacement and improvement or whatever on that?
I cannot provide comment on that. Kim, did you hear the question?
And I don't need an answer now. I was just curious as if it's something that,
How about we look into, and
Sure.
we can send an email out to everybody.
okay, yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Sound good?
Yeah, and then, oh, I'll wait on the other one. It was the Walsh Visitor Center, and we're gonna discuss that.
Yeah,
separately.
that's done.
Okay.
Shane.
Yeah, just, here it is. I had quite a lot of phone calls about the graders running down the road, knocking down the weeds in a lot of the areas. So after I explained to them, the people on the phone, you know, why we're doing it, because we can't mow because of the ban and the dryness, that this was a way of just knocking down the weeds because we're getting complaints of visibility. The weeds were getting so high, and so I said, hopefully the weeds will just go into the ditch bottom and rot, you know, deteriorate in there. Because we did not want the locals to go out on the road themselves and start mowing in their areas to knock down the weeds. So once I explained why we were doing that, everybody was pretty well on board with it. They understood more, you know, why we were just doing it, but at first they seemed it was very odd that our grader was flying down the road just dinging weeds.
Richard.
Yeah, another question was on Range Road 23, that project got done, and I'm curious, did we get it done on budget or under budget?
Hi, how's it going?
Don't see you waving, Kim.
There we go. Do you see all the Pampers boxes in the back? There we go. So I'll go back to the other first question was about the 7 persons boosters plant. So everything's fine on that. What happened there is I actually asked engineers, which typically they've never provided any updates. And so I asked them to provide an update on that project. Now, one of the things was an inspection that you're talking on the holding tank. We actually had to pull out that baffle and clean that tank right out. So, and then we did an inspection on that tank when we did that. So we've actually never done it since Dorn's been here. So it's been over a decade, so it's been a long time since we've actually done a physical inspection of that clear well. And then the second thing was a budget, which, Richard, do you mind repeating your question about that one project?
That was Range Road 23, the one that we fixed up the road down to the river. I think we had like a $35,000 budget or something.
Perfect. Thank you. So I've had lots of questions about that, and sorry, just 1 second. Sebby, turn that off. Sorry about that. That project, we actually had, sorry about that. I just need to.
It's Kim, it's all good. Hey,
Yeah, don't worry about
this
it.
is the life that is going on right now. So don't worry about it.
I hate little tykes, but they make good, wonderful, noisy toys. And nobody's ever ventured into my office in a long time, and now I'm in it, and now yeah, you go away. Okay.
Can you go away?
Sorry about that again. Range Road 23. So we actually had the rocks donated by a local farmer, and one of the conditions on those rocks was you had to take them all. So there was more than what we needed for Range Road 23. So the rest of them are going to be hauled down. We need to do some repairs on the boat launch. That has some erosion on the upstream side, so the west side of the boat launch. And so we'll be using the rest of the rocks there. And so that project came in right around, with equipment time, right around what we had budgeted. We installed 2 culverts there, a 900, which was up on the top of the project, and then a 900, which is on the bottom end of the project, and then a larger one that's on the top of the end of the project. I think it was a 1,000, I believe, or was it a 1.1? But anyway, that project went slow because we're placing a lot of rocks in, and there's everything has to be backed in and done by tandem and not by larger equipment. So, but it'll be very accessible to the public, and we're also working on changing and updating all the signage going down there. So it is signed to a speed reduction, but we're going to put the additional signs for the slope and the embankment. So, and then Shane, you also had a question that I think you were holding off. I think it was probably about the cost on the 120 from our previous conversation.
Yep.
So that one, we're actually coming back with a full report because we had to get the engineering built into that. So next council meeting, you'll have a full report of you'll have a full report with the cost broken down for Range Road 11 and the 120, and with engineering costs built into that. Because that's important for our next phase, because we'll have some excess money, and that's part of the report that's coming back to next council meeting.
Okay,
With some
Hi, buddy. Hi.
Can you say hi? Hopefully it's dark enough they can't see it.
Richard?
Kim, I just want to say that very pleased that administration staff thought outside the box on that Range Road 23 and made it work. There'll be a lot of happy people out there that it's back in service. So thanks.
Yeah, it worked out really well, actually. A lot different than what I envisioned, but with the amount of rock that was donated, we put that extra effort in, and it's going to be, I think, a sustainable road with the proper limitations in place.
Thank you, Kim.
Yep.
Any other questions? I have one for Tara Lynn. How was the luncheon with the CAOs? How did that go?
It went absolutely awesome. So I found out that Phyllis from Redcliffe and Bob from the city had not met yet. And they she's been here for a little over a year, and I thought we can't have that. So I hosted a lunch here, and we had a great visit, talked about several mutual items of concern. And it was really good that they got to meet each other. And I'm going to host them here every quarter. So yeah, it turned out really, really good.
Shane, go ahead.
Got another question now. How are we making out since camping season is over and elk water and another year gone by, and we making any better progress, or are we at a stalemate again?
So in regards, Jeffrey's been working with the agreement, correct, Jeffrey? It was sent in May. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, so the agreement with Alberta Environment and Parks was sent in for final touches on the agreement in early June. And as of just yesterday afternoon, I actually got a response back from Alberta Environment and Parks with some also some suggested edits from their end of things. So just because I received it yesterday, I haven't had a chance to look at it just yet. So yeah, I guess that's still in progress.
And for emergency management, the evacuation plan, we're not first on the list. I think we're 9th, Kim. Does that sound right? And so it doesn't seem that there is a need for us. So, but the conversations are still continuing to ensure that they understand the vastness of the situation down there.
Ernest?
So have we made any headway with the emergency exit outside of the park? Because it doesn't seem like we can make any headway with anything in the park. Also in that, did we, because there is the town site park, but I like the grasslands, I believe, come under wildlands, fire.
Ag and forestry.
Yeah, ag and forestry. So do we have any kind of agreement with them on the grasslands?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, well, I take that as a major step forward.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. Is there any other questions for the CEO report? I believe Shane made the motion for that. Vote. Carried. Reeve and council reports. Shane, we'll start with you.
Oh, had a Red Cliff Rec Board meeting. Had a seed cleaning plant meeting. Met with Rick MacGyver here. Drove to Lethbridge for Little Bow's Foothill meeting. Enjoyed the fresh air and the drive, and watched the sugar beet, how the sugar beet plant harvest is going, and the potatoes were going, and you're harvesting away over there. There's a few more cracks in the highway, and that's about it.
Sorry.
Michelle. Oh.
And group of us represented Cypress County at the Halo golf tournament, which was a lot of fun, and raised some money down there, and forgot about that.
Michelle.
Hey, I had council and the FCSS AA provincial meeting we had virtually. I too attended the Little Foothills Little Boat, but I did not drive all the way to Lethbridge to do it, which I was glad because it only lasted an hour and it was over. A couple of Cypress View meetings, a short grass meeting, and yeah, that's about it. I think on the meeting with the minister, I'm not sure if I said that, but I did meet with him too. Oh yeah, Saturday. The Rust and Shine is still on. They've moved it from serving breakfast in the building to outside now. But it's supposed to be a beautiful day. Hopefully it's not as windy as last Saturday, and anybody who can come help, that'd be great. 9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m.
Rob.
Yeah, no, I guess Minister MacGyver, was that between our last council
Yeah,
meeting?
that was
now?
between.
It was, man, oh man. First and foremost, I want to thank council and administration for the support after my mom passed away. That's taken up a lot of time in the last couple of weeks. Certainly a lot easier getting through something like that when you have people supporting you and lifting you up. So I want to thank everybody for that. We had our ICF meeting was this last week. We started our FCM board meetings on Friday. I am currently skipping the one for conference planning. Tanina, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'll be there later this afternoon. But lastly, tomorrow and Wednesday, we continue on with our FCM board meetings. And on Wednesday, I'm running for the rural chair position, which if successful, I'm running against a lady from the interior of BC. And if successful, that would actually have placed us with a seat on the executive and would basically become the spokesperson for the rural caucus at the federal level. So, which would be a pretty amazing opportunity. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. And yeah, hopefully next meeting, there's a positive update on that.
Richard?
On Wednesday, on September 8th in the evening, we had our Cypress Library Board meeting. Carolyn joined us, went over some details. One of the things we worked on was trying to simplify the money trail as far as how we do the allotment to the other libraries and how to keep track of things. It was a little bit convoluted, I guess the word is, but we've worked on that and we've got that straightened out. And then I had some phone calls from some concerned people that live along ratepayers along the 114, the Enerfin power line. I don't think it's a surprise that they're just trying to bully their way through some very unreasonable contracts. Of course, when they ask the farmers what's a pivot, that just gets them a little upset because that means they haven't even been out there to take a look at what's going on. And they want them to sign contracts that virtually said, we'll do what we want when we want. We will not pay for any damages. If we tell you you're not gonna, you have to turn the pivot off for 6 weeks and you lose your crop, that's not our problem. So anyway, Tara Lynn was good enough to talk to a couple of them and explain that council is also a little bit limited on what we can do, but we'll do as much as we can for him to go to bat. And then I forwarded some emails on just where I live, where I turn off the highway. The city is planning a big electrical substation right across from a group of our ratepayers. And so Kayleen has that information and Terlin and Dan. So when our residents ask for help, we're up to date on what's going on. And looked at a couple of roads where some people had been upset. I guess the question I have here is, I've always told those people to email the county and tell them. It's just, I thought better than if I do it. I don't mind passing them on if they email it to me, but that's the right procedure, right? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we will get it addressed.
Yeah. And then if I can do, just say one thing, I really would like it if I know Kim is overloaded almost all the time, but if somebody could phone those people back and say, we've looked at it or we haven't looked at it. And the decision is no more, we're not going to give you extra gravel or whatever. Okay. Just to carry to that next step. And then it doesn't reflect so much, or it doesn't look at like we're not doing our job, but I tell people right away, counselors do not direct staff. And so we can pass on the message, but then it's out of our hands after that, other than a bit of a follow-up, so. But I mean, basically I've driven around, it's,
So what
We're
we
pretty good shape.
will do, there's the general mailbox that people can send concerns and we respond back to those. So probably the best thing to do is to send that contact information out to council. So if anyone has any questions, so it's one central spot instead of sending it because everybody's got emails all over. So so just to send it to and I can't tell you what it is offhand, but I know we got one.
and I'm okay with
And,
that.
and so send it to that spot and then we'll disseminate it and get back to those folks. Because we have folks already send emails to that and they get a response right away.
Okay, yeah, and that'd be awesome. It's just that it makes our job a little bit easier, or at least it shows that we care and that we are trying to do something there. And then one of the other questions that I got was our tax, Stephen, I was gonna ask that before and I forgot, but windmills, solar panels, we don't have a special classification for that, right? What does it fall under?
No special tax rate classification. The only thing that separates those types is if they're over 5 megawatts. It's a linear type property. Those assessments will be done by the government of Alberta and not the local assessor. But they would generally get the same rate taxes as the non-residential. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
It's just we don't set the value, the government sets the value.
Right.
Anything else?
No, thank you. Is that being a little sarcastic?
Okay, I didn't get a chance to put a report in. I've been busy on my own stuff, but did Cypress view? Several phone calls from ratepayers on questions, same as what Richard's getting. Did the Halo golf tournament for the county to be there, and also did the one in Bow Island for Laidlaw. They were very excited and very happy on what we donated for the water park out there. It was well brought up, and everybody was thanked everybody on council for doing that for the town. Richard.
While we're talking about that, I know I had a few phone calls wondering why we had donated money to that water park out there. And I think it's important that people understand that the Laidlaw pit is in Cypress County, and they're a major contributor to the CAP program that we have. And so I think people need to know that was one of the big reasons that happened. And Shane had asked it to be brought forward at that time.
And I did explain that to some counselors that were out there for that area that were a little upset that they couldn't do the funding to help out there, but I explained why we did it and where the money came from. So it was made for parks. It wasn't made for anything else. So kind of calm things down a little bit.
Just so know that the cap levy money was not to go into general revenue.
Yeah.
It is for parks, cemeteries, playgrounds, stuff to help the communities.
Yeah. Yeah, once that's explained, people are interested in it. Elf?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I did the Foothills Little Bowl virtual. Also, did the golf tournament in Bow Island. Very impressed after, like, we went over to the banquet, Shane and myself, and you know, the people in that participated in that was just incredible. Like, the support that they're getting from that town towards that, so yeah. And also, yeah, I got pulled back into town this morning. I was on my way here, and one of the volunteers helping us out with this cat trapping in Suffield and other hamlets and that, and she's done quite a bit here to organize it and keep it going and that. And like, I went back, took a couple pictures, and there's 2 garages full of traps waiting to go to Calgary right now. So that's probably over 100 cats that they've trapped in the past couple of days, so, and they still got a couple of days left to go, and they're at this end now, so very successful, so. Yeah, I had a few phone calls. I know people with high water bills and whatnot, and also the same as you guys, like, with why is our money going over to Bow Island? But anyway, it was explained, and they seen the good part of it all, so, yeah, that's it.
Dustin?
I attempted to attend the ICF meeting, but apparently I don't have internet or phone service anymore, so I couldn't get onto that. I did catch about the first 25 minutes of Foothills Little Bowl before a trucker showed up in my yard and I had to deal with him. I did attend that Kale Porteous fundraiser in Bow Island for the supper afterwards. That was really good turnout. And I did yield a few questions on that too, but once he explained it, like everyone said, everyone was pretty content with it. And then I did get quite a few compliments on Range Road 65 with that MG30 that we did on there. People are impressed by how that turned out. So hopefully it holds up. But it's a really good test because it's getting a lot of heavy traffic right now. See, it's getting a few little potholes, but other than that, it looks pretty decent. So that's it.
Thank you. Ernest?
Well, I did the tour to Lethbridge. I waved at Shane when we went by. No, I didn't, but it was it was a lot more exciting than doing it online. Because I got to see all kinds of wild agriculture and people that there's a lot of production in that country this time of year. It's actually incredible. That's, I don't know if that was the excitement my week or whatever, but anyway, that was all good. I haven't gone anywhere for weeks, so that anyway, so I think that was about the only thing exciting I did. I'm supposed to bring up Range Road 30.
So, Mr. Chairman and Council, so in speaking with Councillor Ernest, the road north of the Elkwater golf course, it has some, it needs some upgrades, and it used to be a oiled road. It's all chock-holed out and breaking apart and that sort of thing. There is no motion giving direction to administration, and Councillor Ernest was hoping to, for council's consideration, to bring back, direct administration to bring back a plan for that chunk of road with estimates and the process to get approval from Parks to do the road. Is that?
Yeah, that's basically,
That sounds
like what we talked about, and that road golf course is one of our major tourist draw things, and so that main road to get there, and it's got to be kind of a piece of crap. Originally, the county built it whenever Burke was on council, and Parks paved it one time, but they believe they kind of use that. We put some money, some pavement on, and it's good for lifetime. We never go back. So anyway, I think that's about, other than I'm here, that's about it.
So you're making a motion then?
I can't make a motion in reports, or can I?
Yeah, I don't have a motion on the floor right now. You can make a motion.
Okay, I'll make that motion that it comes back to the next meeting.
Okay. Is that road our road, or is that a park?
It is a public road, Lounce. It is our road, Lounce. And now there's questions of who has control over it. But as far as I understand, a road, Lounce is our road, Lounce. It don't belong to anybody actually, because it's a public right of way.
so, Mr. Chairman, we'll come back with more clarification and guidance on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to come back with more information on Range Road 30.
Then to Tara Lynn, she came back and we're spending $2 million on it. And what's your problem? And I'm going, huh? I didn't realize the boat trail and that road lined up.
I said it kinder than that.
Okay, that's the motion. Any questions? Vote. Carried.
Just before we move for reports, Shane, just a quick question for you on how is the seed cleaning plant? What's their status right now? What's their plan? How are they going about dealing with kind of their challenges?
They are looking at options of trying to expand down there. Just looking at different options, what they can do down there at their present location. So at the meeting, they threw a lot of ideas out to, and they're gonna look into it. Of even, putting bins outside in front and a lot of stuff.
Any other questions? Robin's gonna move the reports. Vote. Carried. 10.1, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. International Day of the Older Persons. The recommendation that council move to declare October 1st, 2021 as International Day of the Older Persons in Cypress County, and to direct administration to promote and advertise the declaration prior to October 1st.
I think two councillors need to recuse themselves from voting on this.
Well, I'd ask them to make the motion, but they probably wouldn't know what it's for. They forgot already.
Well, we can't, we have nobody that's really old on here, and then, and the other is, we don't have a day of the younger person.
No.
Well, I looked at it and I thought, really, Jeffrey, you couldn't lose this on your desk someplace. You had to bring it forward because you knew we were going to get beat up on this.
Dustin?
I'll move that we declare October 1st International Day of Older Richards and old persons, sorry. Recommendation number 1.
Okay. Okay, vote. Carried. 10.2, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Library Board funding. Before you is a request from the County Library Board to contribute an additional $17,000 to the Library Board to be funded from the Stabilization Fund.
Richard.
So what we're looking at here is we've done our numbers, we've done our budget, and we'd like to do a little bit of updating on some books and some programs, do some replacing, and also take a look at bringing back library assistants, just so that our main librarians have a bit of a break. We haven't had any increase in funding since 2018, and working over the budget, this is the number that we come up with. So the library board is asking council's assistance in giving us this extra money. And that was a motion.
Robin?
Richard, is this a one-time or is this an annual adjustment?
This would be, this increase would be added to the existing amount. And I think we get about 85,000 right now.
It would be annual.
It would be annual, ongoing.
Yeah, it
Yes.
would be an ongoing contribution. Yeah.
Any other questions? Ernest?
So is this like emergency funding? Because if it's not an emergency one-time funding, I kind of think this is the wrong place to do it. It should be done at budget time. Because I can't see doing a budgetary increase that's permanent now. It's just not the right time. It isn't
I
really
can
how
answer
we-
that. Yeah. So the 17,000, it comes in two parts. So 10 is additional that would pay for the Ralston Library, as there is a decrease in funding from the feds. But we do back and forth projects with them all the time. And the other 7 was increased hours. So what happens, I don't know so what happens is that there's short grass, then there's the county library board, there's the county, and then there's community libraries. So this 17 would be the 10,000 that's sent on behalf from the county library board to Shortgrass because of decreased funding from the feds. And then the other 7 is to the urban library for increased for staff, supplies, and such. That's the breakdown of it.
Well,
So we do need the money to pay our bills and to keep operating.
any other questions? Oh,
So how much of this would be going towards wages, like at Ralston and that? Because I know at one time they used to have volunteers out there, like, you know, and then they just, like, you know, kind of scrapped the volunteers and whatnot, and then went to with paying.
So the portion for the Ralston Library is for materials. So that goes, it's the, there's so many moving parts for the libraries, but that the 10 is going to Shortgrass for membership and for materials and books and stuff.
It's not as if we're gonna really hire extra staff. It's just that right now the librarians, there's 2. One at Graham and like Suffield and the other one at Irvin. There's nobody to fill in for them if they needed, if to take a holiday, sick leave or whatever. And this would really help out. But the other part is just to bring it up, help us bring it up to operating efficiently.
Michelle?
I was just going to provide some clarity on the short grass side of things. The government has changed this year the populations, so everybody's requisitions are going up. And with shortgrass this year, we are really worried about not having enough money to do this. So we kept them at the levels from before. So nothing has gone up this year a whole bunch, but it's coming. It's gonna, and we're struggling to pay for it now. So next year is going to be worse.
Okay, any other questions? Self?
Yeah, I think it's understandable, like, you know, with all the technology and everything's going up, like, you know, and I know just being, like, you know, part of that Ralston Library, you know, visiting it every once in a while, like, you know, they keep up and that, and things, you know, progress very well, so.
Any other comments? Not seeing any? Did you make the motion? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to add $17,000 to the library fund for the year. Vote. Per year. Carried. $10.3, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Repeal policy admin 3 assessment class and tax rate policy on page 133 is the request for a decision and subsequent information. The recommended motion is to repeal policy admin 3 assessment class and tax rate policy. This is due to the change of philosophy for tax rates that our goal isn't to be in 5 years in the 20th percentile. So it's a shift. So that does not meet our methodology at this time.
Okay. Richard?
Make that motion to go ahead with it.
Repeal it. Any other comments? Makes sense. If that's not the way we're going, we gotta keep everything proper. Okay, not seeing any other comments. I'll ask for the vote. Vote. Carried. 10.4, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the 2021 Cypress County Welcome Center report. I will turn over any questions or presentation to Leslie Ann Collins.
Thank you. So as you know, we opened up the Visitor Information Center at the beginning to end of May, and we ran it through to September 6th. This was a trial basis as the province had recently shut it down. So before you is a report with some statistics and numbers of people attending. Basically, what will happen is that we will be bringing back a detailed report with financials for council to consider during the 2022 budget presentation.
Any questions? I'll smooth them. Richard has a question.
Leslie Ann, reading through the report, there was some talk about Wi-Fi access and how many people were asking about it. When you're going to be doing this next report, or you're doing some stuff on it, is that part of the plan to get a price to add Wi-Fi to the building?
Yeah, so we did have Wi-Fi out there, but it was very limited. So, and we were trying to keep the cost down. So kind of not knowing how many people would actually visit the center, how many people would use it. So that will be part of our report as part of the costing for the next season if council chooses to do it again.
So we're doing a lease right now. We had a budget of 65. We're at 50 right now. So we're way under, and we did it on a bare bones. The responses back from people. One thing that was overwhelming is that we had it open for 5 days a week. One of the biggest things is to open it 7 days a week, to have that open. The boutique, the Cypress County boutique with our local folks selling goods in there was very much a success. That people stopping in, the people that participated in it, it worked really well. The one thing that was overnight camping. That was a request that came from a lot of people. And as we all know, campgrounds are plumb full. We are only leasing it, and the province will not allow us to do that. So that's something that we're investigating right now, and just talking with the province, because we'd have to buy that property to do those sorts of things. So that's that. So that's right now. It works good because it has like all the infrastructure there already. It's got the sewer dump. It's got, the potable water, everything there. But there was a lot of requests for overnight camping. No, not to my knowledge. There was so one other thing that was in the report that people asked was a playground there. There's no playground, but imaginations were used, and they had lots of other type of games like frisbee golf and other fun stuff that people utilized quite a bit. It was a low budget production to see what would happen, but it was overwhelmingly everybody was interested. A lot of the conversation was that quite honestly, it's the only rural municipality that is doing a project like this. Mainly it's urbans, but it's that was everyone was very pleasantly surprised that it was a county doing it, and those type of comments came through. Yeah, and the dinosaur was a hit. Kaleo, Dino.
Ernest.
Okay, I'm pleased to see that it was a good adventure, and I think that we should look at buying the facility, and considering that Canadian Badlands is now folded, we may have an opportunity or two to maybe have say the county of Newell or some other adjoining county to chip in a bit to kind of promote their areas with us.
Richard?
Well, when I looked at the budget that you had proposed of 65 grand, I thought, wow, that's not a lot of money to operate. And so it is impressive that you could bring it in under budget. That was great. Yeah, I see a lot of potential. I am an RV person. I travel and I like to do those kind of stops, but I know that the Wi-Fi, especially if my grandchildren are with, that's a must, right? And it would be neat to have just a dozen stalls or something for overnight, right? Plus, definitely we could do a playground. Yeah, lots of positives. So what a way to give people directions as to where to go in Cypress County. It's awesome. And at the same time, we can work with our neighbors. Great. You're going to get a cost for Wi-Fi in Walsh. I would imagine you'll also get a cost for Wi-Fi in Irvin. Because if about, well, I guess two, then the library, and I was thinking more of the other, if we do a campground there too. So we would need it for both places. So great. Good job.
Dustin?
Would it be advantageous to bring forward a motion to take and get staff to look into purchasing that property from the government?
For $1.
For $1, yeah, but whatever,
Yeah.
but look into it and see what they're offering, or if they'll even sell it.
Yep.
So I'll move that.
Okay, so first, yeah, I can do yours. I have a motion on the floor right now for this, so. What? Dustin's making a motion to. Dustin's making a motion to staff to look into purchasing the information center. Shane, did you have something to add to that? Dustin's made the motion for that. Well, we'll get to it. You still in leverage. Okay, so Dustin's got a motion on the floor right now for staff to look into the possibility of us picking up that information center. Any questions on it? Vote. Carried. Okay, Shane, you have a question on the report?
Yep. Do we have in there, you said that like those other local selling stuff, do we have a Cypress County booth that we can sell stuff with our logo on to help offset? We do. Yeah, no, out there at the center, do we have a booth where people can buy Cypress County stuff with the logo
Yeah,
on?
so we did take some of our swag that we had purchased here already. And I can't recall, but I think a few of the items did sell, but we did have it out there.
Any other questions? Robin?
When we were originally kind of looking at this, I talked about kind of the measurables that I was hoping to see from kind of a promoting local businesses. Were we able to find a program that was able to kind of track what kind of economic stimulation or spending that this might have created specifically from that center?
Less.
We're still kind of working on that a little bit, but what I will tell you is that a lot of the local businesses like in Urban and carrying on did notice an uptick. The people that did come into their businesses said that they were drove there from the ladies that were running the center. So there definitely was an uptick noticed with some of our local businesses.
Just as a follow-up for that, maybe I think that based on the numbers that I'm seeing, I would be supportive of seeing this again for another year. Down the road, it might be advantageous to have a program where when somebody wants to promote their business through the center, that they offer kind of a specific coupon or discount if they are presented with it. And so at the end of the year, the businesses that, promote through the center, they would actually be able to provide us with a report on how many they just take a staple it together and fax it in or whatever. Then we're able to at least gauge that a little bit. But yeah, overall, it seems to be a good first summer.
Anybody else? Not seen any. Alf made the motion to accept this report. Vote. Carried. I need a motion to go in camera.